Hello and welcome back to my channel, Crafty Concepts with Erin. I'm Erin and today I have some super exciting news for you. Maybe you've heard, but if you haven't, the creative design team for the entire month of October is bringing you the 31 days of Christmas cards. Every day, a different design team member will have a Christmas card or multiple cards to share over on her YouTube channel. You can find all of the team members in the description box below, so you can subscribe to everyone's channel. Be sure to tap that bell notification, and that way you won't miss out on any of the creativity. These videos are going to be packed full of tips and tricks and our favorite techniques, so I know you are going to enjoy it as much as we are. Yesterday, Jema kicked off the series with her Christmas card video, so I will have that also in the description box below. You are not going to want to miss that. As each and every video releases, I will be sure to upload it to the 31 Days of Christmas Cards playlist so you can find it very easily right here on my channel. So tomorrow will be design team member Lisa Stenz, and I know you won't be disappointed. So without further ado, let's jump into day number 2. Hey, that rhymes. Okay, let's get started. So on my desk in front of me, I have the Comfort and Joy scrapbooking stamp set. Now, this is for scrapbooking or card making, as I will show you today. So it comes all of these that are shaded in blue. So pretty much every stamp image on here has a coordinating die. You can get it with or without. We're actually only going to use the dies today. So in just a moment, I'm going to give you a peek at the card I'm going to show you how to make today. This card was heavily inspired by Lisa Stenz. She created a card with some similar elements in a previous collaboration. So I just loved it so much, I wanted to give it a try. I have a piece of the Glacier Cardstock, and then I have our new Floral lace embossing folder. I'm going to go ahead and sandwich this piece of Glacier cardstock and run that through my die cutting machine, and look at this gorgeous pattern on here. I love it. I've created several cards recently using that same embossing folder. So now we have our fancy border thin cuts, and I'm going to take out this kind of scalloped edge, and we're going to put it across the card at a diagonal. I want it to meet up at the very corner up there, and then just kind of slant down a diagonal across the card face. I'm going to use a little post-it removable tape to make sure it doesn't move as I run this through my die cutting machine. The largest and the smallest, you see I have two sizes. There's the larger and then the center, and then this very smallest top piece here, I'm going to cut out of this gorgeous white glitter paper. I have a piece of vellum for the middle of the flower. So now I have all of my die cut components, and I can go ahead and layer up my flower. I'm going to use a little liquid glue and then just layer the vellum over the glitter paper, and then I should have done this ahead of time before I glued it, but better late than never. Just run your fingers over and bend up the edges to give the flower some dimension. So I'm just going to reapply that glue, line this up how I want it, just like so. And then I can use another dab of glue to adhere this very last piece of my poinsettia. Isn't that gorgeous? And with the liquid glue, you can just wiggle all the petals into place where you want them. I'm going to set that aside to dry and work on the rest of the card. So now we can apply this cascading panel. But before we do that, I need to work on a few more elements. We have these little greenery sprigs here. So I'm going to use my pewter ink, and I've already gone ahead and mounted these onto my acrylic blocks. So I'm going to stamp 1, 2, and 3 of these little images here. And then for the other little sprig, I have white daisy. And now this is a pigment ink, so it's great for embossing because it stays wetter. I have silver. No, I don't want silver. I want white embossing powder. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of my embossing components ready, and I'm going to die cut these out, so I didn't really worry about using my anti-static pouch. And I want 3 of these also. So I am going to go ahead and quickly dust these with my white embossing powder and get those good and coated. So now they're ready to set with my heat tool. Vellum can warp very easily, so you want to be careful with the amount of heat you apply. I'm going to use my tweezers just so I don't burn my fingers and get these set. So it's a little floppy, so I'm going to reposition my tweezers to the middle. Sorry, I'm kind of off camera there, but you can see that just kind of melt into place and take shape, and it looks really pretty. Having the coordinating dies makes this so quick and easy. I just make sure to use a little tape, get it lined up just perfectly, and I'll go ahead and cut those off camera. So I have all my bits and pieces, and now we're ready to work on the sentiment. So I'm gonna heat emboss this, so I definitely want to use my anti-static powder or pouch. And then this is the Comfort and Joy card making stamp. I love this Noel sentiment, so I'm gonna go ahead and now we're gonna use the silver embossing powder. So I'm just gonna ink this up in my VersaMark, which is a very sticky ink. And I want to go ahead and put the foam under that to make sure I get a nice crisp image. Go ahead and put it just like so, and you can't see it, but it looks good to me. We can go ahead and dust our sentiment with the silver embossing powder, and then go ahead and get that heat set. Make sure you have all the areas covered. You can always dust it off with a little paintbrush if you have some powder where you don't want it. So I'm curious, all of my viewers that are Christmas card makers, do you just create one general design and mass produce it, or do you have fun creating several different styles of Christmas cards to send out to your friends and family? Leave me a comment below and let me know what you do. I'm really curious. I have to laugh at myself because, I end up with all these different cards and then I can't decide who to send what card to. It's like you got to match the card with the recipient. Am I the only one that does that? Anyway, I'm going and adhering all the edges down. Whenever you have an embossed panel, sometimes it doesn't stick as well. So I go a little heavier on the adhesive. So I'm just going to line this up on the top and in the corner there. Make sure it's all tacked down into place. And that is looking pretty good. Now we're ready for the fun part. We can bring in the embellishments. I am going to go ahead and adhere this to my note card here. This is from the White Cards and Envelopes Value Pack. So they're already pre-scored and ready to go and have a coordinating envelope. I love that. Makes it super simple. And now we're ready to bring in our poinsettia and all the goodies here. So I'm just kind of lining up to see where I want this to go. I'm applying glue only in the center because I want those petals to lift up for dimension. And also now I can tuck all my little sprigs underneath there. So I'm just going to kind of rotate these about the card. We'll do some up top and some towards the bottom. I want to kind of create 3 different clusters, so to speak. So this one I'm going to tuck right down here. That looks like a good spot. And then again, I'm just putting adhesive on the edges of the very tips so the outer ends can kind of move around. We'll layer 2 of those little pine branches there. And this one looks good right there. Perfect. For the center of my poinsettia, I'm going to use some of these adhesive back rhinestones. Now, adhering things like the rhinestones to the glitter paper can be a bit tricky, so I just laid down a generous little dollop of the liquid glass in the center. And even though these are adhesive backed, now I know they're going to stay put and they won't come off at any point. So just nestling those in the liquid glass. And then I'm deciding I want to put some silver thread. Now, I probably should have done this ahead of time, but better late than never. I will make it work. So I'm wrapping this around my finger 3 times, and then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pull on the loops. I don't want them the same size. I want them to be varied in size. So then I like to use a glue dot, and these are micro glue dots. I prefer one size up, but this is what I had. So I just put a little glue dot there, and then I can use my tweezers and tuck this underneath my poinsettia. So we'll get that right into place there, and then you can kind of fuss with the loops and get them perfect. I really like the way that looks, so I'm going to repeat that on the opposite side of the card just to balance it out. So again, I always like to do 3 loops. It's just kind of my magic number. So we have a lot going on in this card. There's a lot of texture and interest, the glitter paper mixed with the vellum, and then we have that really pretty glacier embossed panel there as the bottom layer. So I just think all of these elements work together to make a really pretty card. I had a lot of fun creating this one. And of course you could do it in different color patterns. You could do a more traditional Christmas colors as well, and switch it up and make it yours. It's funny, tangled thread and bows is something you can just fuss and fuss and fuss with to get it perfect. So there is a finished card. Here is my prototype card. The only difference is I put a little border margin around the edge of this card. So, you know, personal preference. I think they both look great. And then on this one, in the very center, I used the silver stickles and went around that. And then I still added the rhinestones on top of that. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow and watch for Lisa's video. She's going to have something amazing to share with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.